Welcome to True Crime Unfold, where we uncover the darkest and most chilling real life stories. Today's case takes us to the heart of Bogota, Colombia, where the vibrant life of 22-year-old DJ Isabella Moreno tragically came to an end. Isabella was a rising star in the electronic music scene, known for her electrifying performances alongside big names like Calvin Harris and David Guetta. Her talent, charisma, and stunning beauty made her a crowd favorite in nightclubs across South America. But what began as a promising night out soon became her worst nightmare. After meeting someone on Tinder, her life took a terrifying turn. Days later, her body was found stuffed in a suitcase near a dump. What really happened to this once vibrant girl? Who could have harmed her? Was her Tinder date involved, or was it something far more sinister involving dangerous gangs? Join us as we dig into the horrifying details of this shocking murder and uncover the chilling truth. Isabella Moreno was born on December 16, 2000, in Bogota, Colombia. She grew up with her older brother, Gabriel, and was raised by their mother, Mariana, after her parents' divorce. Mariana worked multiple jobs to support her family, instilling a strong work ethic and sense of responsibility in both Isabella and Gabriel. By the time Isabella reached her teenage years, her family had grown. Her mother remarried and had two more children, a boy and a girl. Isabella embraced her younger siblings, becoming a big part of their lives and taking on the role of a mentor and protector. At 15, Isabella discovered her passion for music and nightlife. She visited her first nightclub with some friends, and the experience changed her life forever. She felt drawn to the energy of the crowd, the pulse of the beats, and the magic of the DJ booth. Isabella Moreno's rise in the DJ world was a blend of passion, persistence, and raw talent. She wasn't just handed her success, she earned it with relentless dedication. At 17, she was introduced to the world of nightlife through Carlos Fernandez, the owner of a trendy club in Bogota. Isabella had always been captivated by music, but it was Carlos who saw her potential to transform that passion into a career. He believed she had something special, a spark that could set her apart in the male-dominated industry of electronic music. When Carlos offered Isabella a chance to learn DJing, she took it seriously. It was a steep learning curve at first. She had no background in mixing or sound engineering, so every night after the club closed, she would stay back to practice. Her nights became filled with endless hours behind the decks, learning how to seamlessly mix tracks, control the energy of a room, and build a connection with her audience through music. There were obstacles. The nightlife industry could be harsh, and as a young woman trying to break through, Isabella often faced skepticism. Some critics believed she was given opportunities because of her looks, rather than her skills. But Isabella was determined to prove them wrong. She worked tirelessly, pushing herself to perfect her craft. By 2019, at just 19 years old, she earned a professional DJ certificate, a milestone that solidified her position in the industry. Carlos, who by now had not only become her manager, but also her romantic partner, supported her career every step of the way. He helped her get bookings at some of the top clubs in Bogota and Medellin. Soon, Isabella was headlining major events, her high-energy performances captivating the crowds. Her mixes, ranging from house and techno to reggaeton, created an electrifying atmosphere, and her ability to read and engage with her audience made her a standout performer. Her popularity soared beyond Colombia's borders. As word of her talent spread, Isabella began receiving offers to perform at international music festivals in Mexico, Chile, and Brazil. Her growing success opened new doors in the fashion world too, with modeling opportunities adding another dimension to her career. But despite her increasing fame, Isabella stayed grounded. She remained close to her family, always finding time to take her younger siblings out or surprise her mother, Mariana, with thoughtful gifts. As her star continued to rise, so did the pressure of balancing a career in both music and fashion. Yet Isabella thrived under this fast-paced lifestyle, relishing the challenges and enjoying the recognition she had worked so hard to achieve. However, her life was about to take an unexpected turn when she met a man who would change everything. In early 2022, Isabella's life was already busy with her booming DJ career, but it shifted even more dramatically when she connected with Adam Turner, a 35-year-old businessman from Dallas, Texas. They met through Tinder, a dating app neither had taken very seriously until they stumbled upon each other's profiles. At first, the distance between them, Isabella in Colombia, Adam in the United States, seemed like a potential barrier. Not to mention, they didn't speak the same language. Isabella spoke limited English, and Adam knew no Spanish. But technology came to their rescue as they communicated through online translators. Adam was immediately drawn to Isabella's beauty and vibrant lifestyle. Her Instagram page was filled with glamorous photos of her performances, travels, and the electric world of nightlife she thrived in. For Adam, who lived a much quieter life in the corporate world of Dallas, Isabella represented excitement, freedom, and a touch of chaos that he found irresistible. Despite the language barrier, their conversations grew frequent, with Adam often asking about her music, her shows, and her future aspirations. Isabella, for her part, found Adam charming and generous. He was attentive, always eager to hear about her day, her upcoming gigs, and her ambitions. Although she had some reservations about their age gap and the fact that their lives were so different, she found herself curious about him. He seemed like a stable, kind-hearted man, someone who admired her work and supported her dreams. After a few weeks of chatting, the pair decided to meet in person. Isabella had a music festival coming up in Cancun, Mexico, and they agreed it would be the perfect place for their first face-to-face meeting. Adam was eager to make a good impression. He covered all the expenses for their trip, booking luxurious accommodations and planning a series of outings to impress her. Their first meeting was everything they had hoped for. Despite the language barrier, they connected on a deeper level. Adam was captivated by Isabella's energy, her passion for life and music. She, in turn, appreciated his warmth and attentiveness. What was meant to be a short trip turned into nearly 2 weeks as they explored the city together, attending the music festival by night and enjoying the sun, food, and local attractions by day. Back in Colombia, Isabella's family and friends were pleased to hear about Adam. He seemed like a thoughtful, caring man who was supportive of her career. Adam continued to shower her with gifts and pay for her travels, even financing some of the cosmetic enhancements Isabella had been planning to maintain her image in the entertainment industry. To Isabella, this generosity was a sign of Adam's deep admiration for her. But as their relationship progressed, Adam's affection began to shift. He wasn't just interested in Isabella, he wanted control. Initially, it seemed like small things. Frequent texts asking about her day, requests to know where she was and who she was with. But soon, Adam began calling during her DJ sets, demanding to video chat while she worked. He wanted to see her surroundings, the people she interacted with, and the men who approached her in the club. Isabella, initially flattered by his attention, started feeling uneasy. She was used to independence, used to performing and engaging with her audience freely. Now, Adam's constant need to check in on her began to feel suffocating. The tension between them grew with each passing month. As their relationship deepened, Isabella learned more about Adam's life back in the US. He had recently gone through a painful divorce, something he hadn't disclosed at the start of their relationship. His marriage had ended after one of his sons was diagnosed with cancer in 2018, a tragedy that had taken a heavy emotional toll on him. His ex-wife described Adam's behavior as having become increasingly erratic and controlling during their marriage, especially after the diagnosis. By the time their divorce was finalized in early 2022, Adam had transferred most of their shared assets to an offshore account, leaving his ex-wife and children with little financial support. Though these details were troubling, Isabella didn't fully grasp the weight of Adam's past. She was focused on her career, on her family, and on making the relationship work. Adam's generosity continued, and he promised her the world, talking about plans to move to Colombia permanently and start a new life together. But behind the scenes, Adam's jealousy and controlling nature continued to grow. He started making more demands, questioning her every move, and even hired a private investigator to follow her. When Isabella found out, she was deeply hurt and felt violated. She began to see the darker side of Adam, one that was far removed from the charming man she had met months before. As the year came to a close, Isabella reached a breaking point. She started to distance herself from Adam, considering whether their relationship had become too toxic to continue. The love she had once felt was now overshadowed by Adam's obsessive behavior, and she wondered if she could ever feel free again in his presence. As 2022 progressed, the initial excitement of Isabella Moreno's relationship with Adam Turner began to dim, overshadowed by a growing sense of dread. What once seemed like the whirlwind romance of her dreams slowly morphed into a tense and unsettling reality. Adam's behavior took a dark turn, marked by possessiveness and jealousy that Isabella hadn't anticipated. Adam's obsession with Isabella deepened as he became increasingly controlling. He began to question her about every detail of her life, especially her interactions with men. What started as innocent inquiries turned into accusations. He would confront her after her DJ gigs, demanding to know who she had spoken to, and insisting on seeing footage from her performances. Isabella felt like she was being watched, and the free-spirited DJ who once thrived in the nightlife scene began to feel trapped by her own relationship. Every time she received a compliment from a male fan or had to interact with other DJs, Adam's jealousy flared. He often reminded her of the age difference, as if to imply that she was somehow naive or vulnerable. His comments became sharp and demeaning. "You should be careful. You never know what men want," he would say, his tone dripping with possessiveness. Isabella tried to brush off his comments, but the seeds of insecurity he planted began to take root. As the pressure mounted, Isabella confided in her close friends and family, sharing her concerns about Adam's behavior. They were alarmed, warning her that his possessiveness could lead to dangerous territory. "You deserve to feel safe and free," her older brother, Diego, urged her. Yet Adam's charm and generosity often clouded her judgment. He would shower her with gifts and romantic gestures, leading her to believe that the love he had for her outweighed his controlling tendencies. To make matters worse, Isabella learned about Adam's complicated past. In conversations, he mentioned his 3 children from his previous marriage, whom he had not seen in months. The emotional scars from his past made Isabella sympathize with him, and she convinced herself that his behavior was a product of unresolved pain. She felt responsible for helping him heal, believing that her love could save him from himself. Despite her friends' growing concerns and her own misgivings, Isabella found herself drawn to Adam's darker side, a feeling both thrilling and terrifying. There were moments when he could be incredibly charming, making her laugh and sweep her off her feet. But these moments of joy were often punctuated by episodes of anger and insecurity. It was a toxic cycle that left Isabella feeling confused, but also deeply committed to the relationship. As time went on, Adam's jealousy escalated. He began insisting that Isabella wear certain outfits to her gigs, ones he deemed appropriate to avoid unwanted attention. He wanted her to remove any photos of herself with male friends from her social media accounts, claiming that they made him uncomfortable. Isabella complied at first, wanting to maintain peace, but internally she felt her sense of self eroding. In late December 2022, following a particularly heated argument about her DJ schedule, Isabella made the difficult decision to break things off with Adam. She felt suffocated and feared for her emotional well-being. However, Adam wasn't willing to let her go easily. He begged for forgiveness, claiming he couldn't imagine life without her. In a desperate plea, he promised to change, swearing that he would respect her independence. Torn between love and fear, Isabella hesitantly agreed to give their relationship another chance. In the back of her mind, however, Isabella knew that something wasn't right. She had seen glimpses of Adam's darker side, and although she wanted to believe in his capacity for change, a nagging fear lingered that she had underestimated how deeply his issues ran. The month of January 2023 arrived, bringing with it a sense of impending doom that Isabella couldn't shake. Despite her efforts to rekindle the romance with Adam, things continued to spiral downward. Their relationship felt like a volatile storm brewing on the horizon, and the calm moments were increasingly overshadowed by tension and unease. On January 19th, Adam arrived in Bogotá, having moved there permanently to be with Isabella. The excitement she had initially felt about their new life together was quickly overshadowed by dread. She wanted to make things work, But each interaction with Adam became more fraught with unspoken tension. On the surface, they put on a united front, attending social events and parties together, but underneath, cracks began to form. Isabella had a DJ gig scheduled for the evening of January 20th at a popular nightclub in Bogota. She had been looking forward to it for weeks, eager to share her music with her fans. But that night, Adam's jealousy surged to an all-time high. Before leaving for the club, he interrogated her about her outfit, insisting she change into something he deemed more appropriate. When Isabella refused to budge, a fierce argument erupted. Adam's anger boiled over, and she could see the rage in his eyes. "Why do you need to wear that?" he shouted, his voice filled with frustration. "Do you want attention from other men? You're mine, and you need to act like it." Isabella felt the heat rise in her chest as she fought back tears. She tried to explain that her clothing was an expression of her artistry, but Adam would have none of it. The fight escalated, and after a long, painful back and forth, Isabella left for the club, heart heavy with dread. She needed to perform, to connect with her audience, but the anxiety about Adam's reaction lingered in the back of her mind. Despite the tension, Isabella's performance that night was electrifying. She poured her heart and soul into her music, momentarily forgetting about the chaos that had unfolded at home. The crowd cheered, and for a fleeting moment, she felt like the confident DJ she had always aspired to be. But when she returned home, the relief was short-lived. As she entered the apartment, Adam was waiting for her. He was quiet but seething with anger. Without a word, he pulled her into the living room, where he began accusing her of flirting with other men during the gig. "I saw how they looked at you. You're so naive if you think they aren't trying to get into your pants." His voice dripped with venom, and Isabella felt a familiar chill crawl up her spine. That night, their argument escalated further. It was the culmination of months of suppressed tension. As Adam's rage intensified, he grabbed Isabella, shaking her in a fit of anger. In that moment, she realized just how dangerous their situation had become. Despite the physical threat he posed, a part of her still wanted to reach out to him, to find a way to connect. "Adam, please, I'm not going anywhere." "You're overreacting," she pleaded, trying to defuse the situation. But the anger blinded him. He had crossed a line that Isabella had never anticipated. Struggling to break free from his grip, she felt a wave of fear wash over her. The man she had once found charming had become a stranger, someone who could easily slip into violence. In the days that followed, the situation only deteriorated. Adam became more paranoid, insisting that Isabella keep her phone unlocked so he could monitor her messages and calls. He even hired a private investigator, which Isabella found out about, and the violation made her skin crawl. She felt like a prisoner in her own life. On January 21st, the world fell silent when Isabella was found dead in their apartment. The shocking news rocked the Colombian music scene, and the investigation into her death quickly pointed to Adam. It became clear that the man who had once been her biggest supporter had turned into her greatest threat. As investigators unraveled the details surrounding her tragic end, they discovered a chilling tale of obsession, jealousy, and ultimately, a love that had transformed into a nightmare. The days leading up to Isabella's death would become a haunting reminder of the signs she had missed. Friends and family, heartbroken and shocked, would reflect on their conversations, the warnings that had been ignored, and the darkness that had engulfed Isabella's once vibrant life. The investigation into Isabella Moreno's tragic death unfolded rapidly, sending shockwaves through Bogota and the larger music community. News of her passing spread like wildfire, capturing the attention of both the local media and law enforcement. Isabella, a beloved rising star in the DJ scene, had built a promising career, and her untimely death sparked an outcry for justice. As Bogota police began their investigation, they swiftly focused on Adam Turner, Isabella's boyfriend and the last person known to be with her. On January 21st, 2023, Isabella was discovered lifeless in her apartment, dressed in her nightgown and surrounded by signs of a violent struggle. The initial autopsy suggested strangulation, and investigators noted bruising around her neck and face, indicating that she had fought back against her attacker. Friends and family grew alarmed when she failed to show up for her scheduled DJ gig that night, knowing how dedicated she was to her craft. When they couldn't reach her, they contacted local authorities, which prompted a swift response from the police. Upon arriving at the scene, officers meticulously examined the apartment for evidence. They noted the overturned furniture and scattered personal items that spoke to the chaos of the struggle. The investigators collected various pieces of evidence, including fingerprints and DNA samples, hoping to gain insight into Isabella's last moments. Meanwhile, the detectives delved into Isabella's digital life, examining her social media accounts, text messages, and call logs. They sought clues regarding her state of mind and interactions with Adam, especially given the troubling nature of his behavior. As they pieced together Isabella's recent communications, troubling patterns began to emerge. Messages exchanged between her and her friends revealed a growing concern about Adam's jealousy and possessiveness. Isabella had confided in her best friend, Camila, just days before her death, expressing that she felt like she couldn't breathe around Adam anymore, as if she were walking on eggshells. These revelations highlighted the emotional turmoil she was experiencing and provided critical context for the investigation. While the police gathered more evidence, they began interviewing friends, family, and co-workers of both Isabella and Adam. Eyewitnesses from the nightclub where Isabella performed recalled the palpable tension between the couple. "You could feel it in the air," one fellow DJ noted. "Isabella seemed anxious whenever Adam was around." Camila provided a valuable account of a conversation she had with Isabella shortly before her death, explaining that her friend was scared, but didn't want to let Adam go, as if she were trapped. The investigation took a more sinister turn when authorities learned that Adam had left Colombia just hours after Isabella's body was discovered. His sudden departure raised suspicions and became a crucial element of the investigation. He had flown to Panama on January 22nd, the same day Isabella was found, making arrangements to travel to Istanbul, a country without an extradition treaty with Colombia. This behavior only deepened investigators' concerns about his involvement in her death. Realizing the urgency of the situation, Colombian authorities reached out to Interpol for assistance in tracking Adam. They worked with international law enforcement agencies to issue a warrant for his arrest. As news of Isabella's death spread, Adam's face was plastered across news headlines, and his image became synonymous with the tragedy. On January 25, 2023, just days after fleeing Colombia, Adam was apprehended at Panama's Tocumen International Airport. He was preparing to board a flight to Istanbul when law enforcement officials, alerted by Colombian authorities, intercepted him. The arrest was tense. Adam reportedly resisted, attempting to explain that he was fleeing from a supposed cartel that he claimed was after him for Isabella's murder. However, investigators found his claims dubious, and the forensic evidence collected from Isabella's apartment, coupled with eyewitness testimonies and his suspicious flight plan, painted a compelling narrative of guilt. When police searched him upon arrest, they discovered scratches on his face, marks that suggested a struggle, corroborating the notion that Isabella had fought back during the attack. As he was taken into custody, Adam maintained his innocence, insisting that he had nothing to do with Isabella's death. Despite his attempts to downplay the evidence, investigators were undeterred. They had built a strong case against him based on the timeline, his controlling behavior, and the physical evidence collected from the crime scene. Once back in Colombia, Adam was taken to the local police station for questioning. Detectives pressed him for details about his whereabouts on the night of Isabella's death and his actions leading up to it. Yet, Adam continued to assert his innocence, repeating his fabricated story about being hunted by a cartel. Under the pressure of the investigation and public scrutiny, his mental state appeared to deteriorate. His behavior during interrogations, sometimes laughing inappropriately or showing little regard for the gravity of the situation, raised further questions about his character and mental stability. As details of the investigation emerged, public outrage grew. The tragic loss of Isabella, a young and talented artist, resonated deeply with many. Social media campaigns began to take shape, advocating for justice and highlighting the dangers of toxic relationships. Isabella's friends and family became vocal advocates for awareness around domestic violence, and the importance of recognizing red flags in relationships. The case captured the attention of local and international media, leading to discussions about violence against women, the need for stronger protections for victims, and the importance of mental health support. Activists rallied, demanding justice for Isabella, and highlighting the societal issues surrounding domestic abuse. As the world watched, it became clear that the truth would soon be unveiled in the court of law. The tragic end of Isabella Moreno's life had ignited a fire for change, one that would not be easily extinguished. In January 2024, Adam Turner was sentenced to 42 years and 8 months in prison for aggravated femicide and tampering with evidence. His case sent shockwaves through Colombian society, sparking conversations about toxic relationships and violence against women. Isabella's tragic death became a rallying cry for victims of domestic violence. Her family and friends remember her not just as a rising DJ star, but as a loving daughter, sister, and friend. Her light was extinguished too soon, but her legacy continues to inspire those who knew her. Thank you for joining us on this episode of True Crime Unfold. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our next in-depth investigations. See you in the next episode.